Welcome to the Offshore Club's fun-filled, fact-filled, fast-paced, blockbuster podcast, Coffee with Carib Carter, coming to you exclusively from where the sun never sets on the good life at a great price. And now, fill up your favorite coffee mug and join your expert and your guide, Carib Carter Clues.
Ready? Yes, sir. Hi, and welcome to Coffee with Carib Carter. Here we go. Once again, I think I was kind of trying to tally it up. I'm not very good with numbers, but I think it's like the 24th or 25th or something like that episode that we've been together. And I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the great emails I get from you. Just outstanding. And the comments on when I post on Carib Carter Facebook. I even get some phone calls occasionally or text, and it's always great to hear from you. And I love the exchanges because your guidance is what helps me know where to focus Coffee with Carib Carter to benefit you most. Okay. And so again, thank you for all those wonderful messages you sent me. And today on Coffee with Carib Carter, we're going to do something a little different. As you know, I like to keep it upbeat, light, and some would say even fluffy. I posted something on recently on Coffee with Carib Carter where somebody had sent me a message saying, Carter, you're always very upbeat and happy, and maybe people need for you to be more serious occasionally. I said, in response, I tried being serious when I was in college working during the summer construction, and all I got was a hernia and $1.25 an hour. So I kind of abandoned serious for a while, but actually today I am going to be serious. I am going to be serious with you because I have something very important to share with you. Okay, I'm going to finish up on a lighter note because I have a really good property opportunity for you. But before we get to that, I need to be serious with you because of a lot of the messages I'm getting from you that are very serious, and because frankly, we're in a pretty serious place in our country now. Okay. And I really think it's time for me to urge you from the bottom of my heart to start putting in place your plan B escape route. Okay. Let's do this. Rather than I go into that, I did 3 posts recently on Carib Carter Facebook. And again, I urge you to check that because I post like 3 or 4 times a day there, usually videos. But I did 3 posts that really put into context what I mean by your plan B escape route. So I'm going to ask our super producer, Brian, to play those just back to back for you. The first 2 are about 5 minutes. The third one's about 3 minutes. The third one puts in perspective why I'm kind of serious now. So super producer Brian, can you just roll those back to back, folks? Bear with me. I'm not trying to run an audition tape for myself or anything, but I'd like you to watch these because the message to you is very, very serious, and I want you to take it to heart. Okay? So roll them. Brian, thank you. Hi, it's Carib Carter. And what I have to say, it's not all that pleasant, but sometimes, the important news comes in ugly wrappers, okay? Sometimes it does. And the important news is yesterday I had a meeting with some top Washington insiders. You remember I worked in Washington in politics at the very top for over 40 years. These people are still there, and they know what's going on behind the scenes where you're not allowed, okay? And let me tell you something. If you still think that you don't want to make your move offshore, if you're still waiting around, I know there's a temptation to do that. Change can be tough, okay? My father used to say the greatest fear is the fear of the unknown. First of all, it's not that unknown, trust me. Once you make your move to Central or South America, you're going to turn somersaults because of how much you love it. Trust me on that, please. But what they told me is coming down the pike is not something freedom-loving people want, okay? The taxes, they've already begun. The big lie Biden told me, I'm not raising taxes on the middle class. And in his phony infrastructure bill is the pilot program to put in place taxing every mile you drive. I already told you about that, right? The breathalyzer fees you're gonna have to pay on new cars. The heck? I don't even drink.
And I'm sure a lot of you don't either. If you do, not to access, of course. But the government doesn't care. They want that money out of your pocket into theirs. The housing, the CDC's mandate that people don't have to pay rents. First of all, who the hell's the CDC to make that decision? Secondly, it's not temporary, ladies and gentlemen. It's not temporary. Please believe me. And it's only an intermediate step. All these things are intermediate steps. What's the real goal? Once they take over the housing, because people own them, especially people who own a couple units that they relying on for their income as they got older, once they lose those, you can't keep them. You can't keep them. You're not collecting any rent. But you're still paying taxes. Isn't that nice? Then the CDC will turn it over to HUD, which will make it Section 8. The ultimate goal, Section 8, coming to a neighborhood near you. That's part of the CD. Remember, everything they do in the Biden regime is a step toward, I'm going to say the word, I'm going to say it, totalitarianism, okay? That's why I'm urging you, get offshore now. Don't wait. The internet. We now know the Biden regime is conspiring with Zuckerberg and the Twitter people and the Google. All these people, they're the ones demanding the censorship. Biden's press secretary bragged about it recently. Okay? That's their program. I'm going to tell you something. Watch for the internet controls to unfold in the months ahead by government, by government, by government. Okay? Move offshore, you'll still be free to write what you want and say what you want on the internet. I'm just telling you, and let me finish with this. Please do not be the last to leave, okay? I'm talking about monsters, and here I am drinking a monster here, okay? Please do not be the last to leave. You know why you don't want to be the last one to leave a sinking ship? A lot of reasons. One, may not be any lifeboats left. Two, when the ship tilts, you might go cascading down the side, okay? And when it plunges, you might get sucked under if you're still on there. So don't be the last to leave. I'll finish with this. I know this is long, but it's so important. It's so important. My Uncle Jimmy Zagami, what a wonderful man he was. Lived in an Italian neighborhood when I was a kid, a long time ago, in Washington with the Marcianos and the Nefarios. They're Italian, had a little neighborhood around Georgia Avenue. Then the Blockbusters came. And the neighborhood just got worse and worse by the day. My grandfather, Marciano, he finally had to sell his home. He had come as an immigrant. That was his dream. The same with the Reggios down the street. But Uncle Jimmy Zagami didn't want to leave. This was his dream. He had come here as an Italian from Sicily, worked hard, backbreaking work in order to buy his own little home there in the neighborhood. By the time they were done, he had to sell his home for a couple $1,000s and flee into the night because he waited too long. General MacArthur said, the most tragic words in the English language were too late. Too late. Too late. Please, I beg of you, don't wait until it's too late. Start to put together your plan B. Start to establish your escape route. Go to offshore.club. Go to offshore.club. Yeah, I'm the president of it. Am I selling it to you? No, it's free. Subscribe to the free newsletter, Offshore Club Gazette. You'll get it every day, and I'll help you at least to start to consider to make your move, okay? To make your move offshore, to the good life at a great price. Yeah, to the sun, sand, and surf. You can't beat that. And to freedom. 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 Let's do this thing. Hi, it's Carib Carter, and I want to share another reason with you why I really urge you to go to offshore.club and sign up for the free newsletter, the Offshore Club Gazette. Absolutely free. You get it every day, packed with information, opportunities, benefits that you just don't want to miss, particularly not in this day and age. Now, why do I say that? This day and age? Well, I was watching a movie last night, an old movie. It's at the second Indiana Jones movie, the one with Sean Connery. And there's a scene in it that was very chilling. 2 years ago, it wouldn't have been very chilling, but it was very, very chilling because the Nazis stopped Indiana Jones's friends and said the line that we heard so many times in the old Nazi movies, "We will see your papers." We will see your papers. The Nazis made it clear, and I used to see this, as I said, when I was a kid, a long time ago, back in the 50s, into the 60s. There's a lot of Nazi movies, and in all of them, you saw that scene where the Nazis walked up and said to people, "We will see your papers." Casablanca was the most notorious one for that. Great movie, by the way, great movie. You weren't allowed to go anywhere. You weren't allowed to do anything. You weren't allowed to shop. You weren't allowed to work. You weren't allowed to visit your children at college, anything, if they didn't see your papers. And we thought, as when I was a kid, we thought, thank God that'll never happen here. What did I just say? It'll never happen here? Ask the people in New York City, ask the people in California. Ask your neighbors in a very short time, please mark my words, as the Biden regime continues its COVID witch hunt, its vaccination imposition, whether they expect to hear, and you will hear, "We will see your papers." Already, you can't shop in certain places in America. You can't go to work. You can't go to any events, of course. You won't be able to go to church unless they see your papers. That's where we are, and I'm sorry to give it such emphasis, and I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm trying to enlighten you, okay? Please don't stay around until the Biden regime fully imposes that. And don't think you're going to escape it, because it's going to be your phone, the one I'm holding right now. The papers will be on your phone. Don't think you're going anywhere. You will be staying in the house. You say, Carter, it's a little far-fetched. Remember the Fauci lockdown? Remember he told us, well, it's only going to be for 15 days. A year and a half later, in America, not outside your own door. Not outside your own door. Okay? So, look, hopefully it'll turn around. I hope and pray. I don't think so, because I worked 40 years in Washington. I know politicians. They live for three things: power, glory, and money. The COVID hoax gave all that to them, and they are not going to let it go. Now we have Delta, we have Lambda, we'll soon have Tau Kappa Epsilon, whatever it takes. And your papers, folks. You don't want to live like that. Go to Offshore.club, sign up for the free newsletter. The Gazette's a great newsletter, and start laying your plan B escape route. Please, I urge you to do it. Please, I urge you to do it. Hopefully you'll never have to take it. But why not go to a place where the government's not big enough to impose that kind of, I'm going to say it, tyranny, okay? Just not big enough. Keep in mind, in America, the FBI alone, the budget of the FBI alone is 3 times the budget of most Central American countries. So they don't have the enforcement forces to pull this stunt. It's horrifying. It's chilling. Watching that movie last night made me think of you, made me think of the need that I send you this message, okay? You don't need to live like that when you can live the good life at a great price, honest to God. Offshore, as I always tell you, in the sun, the sand, and the surf, that you can walk on without your papers, okay? So just make your plan B. Go to Offshore.club, sign up for the free newsletter, and together, and we'll hold your hand every step of the way. That's what the Offshore.club is for. Together, let's do this thing. Hi, it's Carib Carter, and I'm going to keep this short today, shorter than the past couple of days, because, well, I've been banned on YouTube, where I would put in a longer message and go through the YouTube platform to send it to you. Never going to happen again, because once they lift the ban, I won't be going back, okay? I don't play the censorship game. They banned me, by the way, for criticizing the Biden regime and for daring to suggest that maybe Mr. Fauci's constant, unending panic plague attacks are starting to get a little old with the American people. I mean, took off their mask and we're all still alive, so maybe something was, maybe it just wasn't all he cracked it up to be. Well, to YouTube, that was a horrifying thing to say. A suggestion, And how dare you express such freedom of speech? But the point is not the point is not that I want you to feel, oh, isn't that horrible for Carib Carter? No. The point is what it pretends for you, okay? That this kind of censorship of other people's opinions. All right, let me lay it out. We have not seen this kind of censorship of other people's opinions since the Nazi book burnings in Germany in the 1930s, okay? Any opinion they didn't like, they burned the book. Well, social media, the radicals who now run the social media, YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, all of them, look, they will not tolerate anyone's opinion, okay? So you have to decide for yourself, do you want to have to live like that? I have a feeling that if you're independent enough to say, I'm thinking of moving offshore, you're probably independent enough saying, I don't need anybody telling me what I can think and say, okay? But it's worse than that. Remember, with these kind of people, whatever they do, there's another step coming. The next step is to ban you from even being able to even do research on or watch videos on their platforms, which, you know, when you think you can't use Google anymore for work, really, trust me, that's step 2, okay? So why put up with it? When you can go offshore, and there you don't need all of their diversionary social media, because guess what? Down in Central and South America, people still talk to people. People still work with people. It's what we used to have here before the social media turned an awful lot of us into AI automatons, okay? So think about regaining interpersonal relationships, regaining the good life at a great price. And in this case, in the sun, sand, and surf, where you can interact with other people. Let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, in the third video, the shorter one, I explained to you about one of the reasons I'm so serious now, that I put up messages to followers of Carib Carter. They're folks like you. Some of you are probably followers. Matter of fact, a lot of you probably are. Those who aren't, I know, thank God you watch Coffee with Carib Carter on every Monday. Today is not Monday, you know, because we got sidetracked here. But and these messages to you are important, and yet YouTube, as I said in that third video, YouTube decided that you wouldn't be allowed to hear them. You would not be allowed to see that the second of those 3 messages, they pulled off YouTube. They pulled off YouTube because I dared to criticize the Biden regime and question Anthony Fauci. I have a lot of questions about Anthony Fauci, quite frankly. Highest paid bureaucrat in history who launched a panic, but I'm not going to get into that. You know, I kind of talked about it in the videos there. But so I get this message from YouTube, okay? I'm going to hold it up for you. Can you imagine that appearing, telling me that I had to be punished because I talked to you? I'm a 75-year-old adult, okay? You're adults, right? We may have a few minors watching. If you are, God bless you, welcome aboard. We're pretty much all adults, which suggests to me we can kind of decide for ourselves what we want to say and what we want to hear, okay? We don't need a bunch of millennial punks in Silicon Valley, I'm sorry, but I got to be blunt here, censoring us, censoring what I can say and what you can hear. But that's what they did. So they sent me this absurd message telling me, you know, I can review the content to see what I did wrong. Well, I didn't, as you can imagine, I did not review the content. I know what the content said, and I did nothing wrong. I talked to you about something very serious. And you can be, as I said in the third video, you can rest assured YouTube will not have the chance to pull down another video because I won't put any more up on YouTube, okay? We'll talk directly through Coffee with Carib Carter. Rumble, you'll check Rumble, Parler, check Parler, because, folks, you're an American. You're guaranteed free speech, and we're going to exercise that right, okay? You and I are. And part of that is Plan B escape route, your plan B escape route. Okay. That's vital. If it wasn't before, it is now. Look, there are things happening in this country. We just went through over a year and a half lockdown. Up until a year and a half ago, the term lockdown was only used in prisons, but that was inflicted on the American people. Okay, you weren't given any choice. 48 governors. And did you hear one of them say, I'm really sorry to have to do this? No. The governor of West Virginia said, you will wear your effing mask. You don't talk to people. You don't talk to anyone that way, particularly not Americans. Governor of New Jersey said, I didn't give the Second Amendment the Bill of Rights a second thought. What? The governor of California said, it's a new normal, so get used to it. That's not how we live in America. Unfortunately, I shouldn't have said that. That is now how we live in America, okay? And we survive it. You know, you survived the flu. It was the flu. And you survived it. And now they come and say, well, no, you didn't really, because now there's Lambda. And you didn't really fall for that. You didn't put your mask back on and go into panic. So they said, well, then there's the Delta. And next they're going to say there's a Phi Beta Kappa, the Tau Kappa Epsilon, whatever. It's called freedom, folks. And never forget, I've told you this before now, and I'm on my soapbox. All right, I'm on my soapbox, and I got to stand here and be on it because it's not for my sake. I know how I feel. My wife and I already bought our home, as you know, on the beach in La Ceiba in Honduras. We've got our plan B escape route solid, down, nailed down, okay? But the Biden NSC 6 weeks ago issued a directive that if you dare to, and I'm not check it, I'm not making it up, the National Security Council of the White House, the Biden regime White House, if you dare to have a negative sentiment about government or authority, you can be deemed a domestic terrorist and arrested under the Patriot Act without trial and jailed. And you might say, well, it would never happen. There are 540 people in jail right now for demonstrating at the Capitol. And unless you say, yeah, but they trespassed. No, actually they didn't. Number one, most of those that went in were invited. Check the footage. And number two, the vast number of those now in the gulag, and I'm afraid I'm going to call it the gulag, without trial, without formal charges, right now in America, we're outside the building. Okay, so this is not the America you grew up in, and it's not. If it were just me saying it, you'd say, Carter, you're being a little extreme today. But I get messages, emails from Offshore Club members, and thank God, folks, we're 80,000 strong now. Can you believe that? Actually, over 80,000 strong. So God bless you. You know, you're part of an incredible club. You're in with the best in crowd in America today, as far as I'm concerned. People who are looking offshore to say there's a good life at a great price offshore in the sun, sand, and surf, and with freedom. And I just may be heading in that direction. And I get notes like this all the time from people. Okay, I'm not going to read his name, but I am going to read you the note. And please believe me, and I respond to all of them, and this is not unusual. I get several a day. This is from, again, an Offshore Club member, new member. I want to emigrate from the USA because of the deteriorating political and economic conditions to a stable country in South or Central America. I'd like to make contact with an expatriate community of former U.S. citizens and make plans to leave before it's too late. Thank you for any help or advice. Thank you, friend. Yeah, I get them every day. And I hope you're thinking about it. And that's what I mean by the plan B. Please I'm not saying make your move today. If you can, do it, but at least start putting that plan B into place, because it's not going to get any better. There's no sign it's going to get any better whatsoever. Folks, I spent 40 years in Washington. this person who wrote to me knows of what they speak about the situation. For 40 years, I worked with the the U.S. Senate, okay, the top in the White House, the top politicians. So let me just tell you, you can count on one hand the number that were wonderful, decent folks. One of them was Ronald Reagan, obviously, number one, and a couple others, but you might have some fingers left over. They operate on, they have three goals. Their objectives are threefold: money, glory, and power. Isn't that lovely? Money. I worked with them. I watched them. And once they get power, they do not let it go. Let me tell you very quickly, and it's not just the Democrats, folks. I don't want you to think I'm being partisan. I had a dear friend who was a White House fellow, by the way, who attended a meeting in 2014 when the Republicans took the Senate with Mitch. And I'm not being political here, folks. I'm telling you why you need to have this escape route. The Republicans had taken the Senate, so Mitch McConnell was the new majority leader, a Republican. And he said to the other Republican senators at that meeting, now, just because, now, okay, we're in the majority now, but be careful, because those people out there are going to start trying to tell us everything to do. And my friend raised his hand and said, Mitch, I thought that's why you're here. Power, the power. Harry Truman called it Potomac fever. It's very serious. And unfortunately, it just doesn't affect them. It infects them, but it affects you. And that's why I want you to start thinking about your plan B. And I'm gonna close on this this section on this. This is not something that's going to go away. This is not something that's going to go away. It's at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. Think about it. Think about it. I came home today. My wife and I were at our place up in West Virginia. And I went to the mailbox and I thought to myself, do you realize how much you dread getting a letter from your own government? I thank God I didn't have one. But if you saw, oh, look, have you ever, let me ask you a second. If you saw U.S. government in the return address there, would you say to yourself, oh, good, I got a letter from my government? Or your state, or your, no, because that's where we are today. They come to you with two things: the thumb down, don't do that, and the palm out, unless you pay us a license fee, taxes through the ceiling now, folks. And they are going to increase the new gas mileage tax, the mileage tax they built into that, sneaked into the bill. You heard me talk about it in the video earlier, and it's just one of them. There are going to be a million of them now, because they come with the palm out, the palm, they get the palm there, the palm out. State, local, the property tax is just one of them. The fees are all going up. I know yours are too. You don't have to, you do not have to live with that. The property my wife and I just bought in Honduras, beachfront property. I know I tell you this every time, and some of you are saying, man, Carter, we understand you had a great deal. Well, you can too. That's what I'm telling you. Two bedroom, one bath on the beach, beautiful home, Greek columns out front, on the beach, ocean front, okay? Out the back door's a swimming pool, the gazebo, the clubhouse, $32,000, okay? And as good as that deal is, think about this in addition, the annual property tax is $50. You're saying, Carter, you sure there aren't supposed to be several more zeros there? No, no, that's it, folks, okay? So please, I urge you, with everything I've said, please don't take it lightly. Please don't. I know I'm a little upset about it. I am upset about it because I love the American people. I loved America. I love the American people. But when I was a couple of years back, I was going to say when I was a kid, but when I was a kid, actually, the Oldsmobile was a great car. And a couple of years back, the Oldsmobile had an ad, a space ad. This is back in the print days. It said, "This is not your father's Oldsmobile." Okay, well, as this gentleman in this note to me just said, and as another one said to me earlier in a note this week, this is not the country that you grew up in, okay? And it's not going to be without a miracle of God. And don't be the last to leave. Just don't be the last to leave. Remember my Uncle Jimmy said to me, don't be the last to leave, okay? got nothing for his home because he waited too long when the blockbusters came. So that's I know this has been dark, and that's why I put on this bright shirt to try and lighten it up at least a little bit in appearance, even if not words. But please take it to heart, because I care about you. I care about all your fellow members of the Offshore Club. I want you to have the good life at a great price. I want you to enjoy every second of it. And don't get bogged down in all this. Don't get bogged down in all this. There's nothing worse than to be caught in the decline of an empire, okay? There's nothing worse, because they take it out on the citizens. Those in power do. That's what they always do. It's what they always do, whether it's the Roman Empire, the Grecian Empire, whichever one's in the past. So we're not going to do that, okay? We are not going to do that. And one of the ways you're not going to do it, I always give you every week your $1,000 listing Caribbean, taken from, copied off Ryan Serhant's that $1 million listing New York. And, I want to share with you, and I'll make this quick because we've been on a long time now. But my first home I ever bought in Honduras was in a place called Vista Bonita, outside, way about half an hour outside of La Ceiba. I told you I used to ride the chicken bus in every day to La Ceiba. And I loved Vista Bonita. It was a little community, little loosely gated community in the shadow of Pico Bonito, which is the highest mountain in Honduras, 8,000 feet. I could look over and see the waterfalls cascading down the mountain, right? I could walk across the highway. I'd go through the little town of El Pino, which was adjacent to Vista Bonita. Nice little town, wonderful people, wonderful little kiosk type restaurants with baleadas, which I love. The little ferreteria. That's the Spanish, my best I can do with the Spanish hardware store. So pretty much whatever you wanted there. And I'd walk across street into the mountains of Vista Bonita, which was just Pico Bonita, which was just fantastic. But today I called, but we sold that home. My wife sold that home because she wanted to buy a home near where she grew up in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Okay. Again, that home is that she just bought before we bought the beachfront home, about 6 months before. 3 bedrooms, beautiful yard, gated, gorgeous, all the fruit trees you want, bananas, oranges, pineapple, everything right there. $30,000, okay? $30,000. Folks, it's there. Grab it now. Don't wait till the prices start going up, because the out-migration from the U.S. has started. Don't be the last to leave here, and don't be the last to arrive there, because you want to get there early and buy a couple properties so you can make some profit on them. That's a smart investment. But at any rate, one of the places you might want to look is Vista Bonita. Vista Bonita, you can look it up, vistabonita.com. Scott, you can go to Scott at pacmedical.com. Drop him a note. Scott at it's Scott at the little at mark, and then again the word at pacmedical.com. Okay, I know it's a little confusing. Drop them a note about it, or just go to vistabonitahonduras.com. Vista, V-I-S-T-A, Bonita, B-O-N-I-T-A, Honduras, which we all know how to spell, .com. Look it up. I'll tell you why. You can buy a property there, a good-sized property. My home there was on a good-sized property that my wife sold to buy our newer home in a small town near San Pedro Sula. Good-sized property. Buy the property for about under $10,000, $9,000 or so. It's a great deal. And build a beautiful home on it, I think, for around $20,000, okay? $20,000. Look at this one. They just built there. If you want to buy one already built, look at that. Isn't that lovely? That's a lovely home there, Vista Bonita. Okay, you might want to buy that one. Okay, or build your own for, I'd say 20, 25 to maybe go as high as 30 if you really want something nice like the one I just showed you. And then you have your escape. Not only have your escape route, you have your escape home. Okay. It's there. It's done. You're near the wildlife preserve of Pico Bonito. And your taxes, by the way, your taxes there on that particular property are $10 a year. How does that compare with what you're paying now, your property taxes? Folks, get away from these taxes. They're going to skyrocket, and along with inflation. Remember, they lied to you about inflation. Oh, there's no inflation. Biden said, oh, there's no inflation. There's no inflation, you know. Then they admitted, oh, well, but it's transitory. Then they admitted, well, maybe it's not, but it's not that high. Then they finally admitted, yeah, it's pretty high. It's 7 or 8% at this point and increasing. Retail sales just hit rock bottom yesterday. So the announcement was, so we'll stay around for that. You don't have to put up with it. Remember, your prices down there, if you buy, let's say you buy Vista Bonita, your prices down there are about a quarter to a third of what you're paying up here. So if you make $2,000 a year residual income, maybe Social Security, some retirement, whatever, or just can work from home, they have the internet down there, 5G, bringing $2,000 a year, you're going to live like royalty. Okay, live like royalty without the fear of the government coming down on you constantly. The government there is just not big enough to do that. You know, as I said, you know, the FBI budget alone in this country, the FBI, which is going door to door now, if you don't do something they don't like. Remember the NSC declaration dictate their budget is more than three times higher than the average Central American country. So they don't have the police state that unfortunately we do here now. Okay, so Vista Bonita, you can talk to Scott, cut a deal. You can buy a lot for as little as $500 down, work out $100, $150 a month, and you got it. Or just pay cash for it, get it over with. Yeah, that's what my wife and I did. So we have our place there. So there you got it. There's your plan B escape route. For a bargain price, you get to go live the life of your dreams, okay? Literally the life of your dreams, all right? Like I said earlier, the sun, the sand, and the surf. So I want to encourage you. I know sometimes these are tough decisions. Sometimes they're tough decisions. But sometimes you make the tough decision. And when you're done making the tough decision, you find that it's helped you have an easy life, okay? It's just getting over the barrier and saying, like we do at every episode, the way we finish up Coffee with Carib Carter. Thank you for joining me today. Hey, folks, let's do this thing.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us at the Offshore Club. For more information on the Offshore Club or to contact Carib Carter, visit www.offshore.club today. www.offshore.club. That's www.offshore.club. See you next time at the Offshore Club.